Hey gang, welcome back here to another edition of Intuitive Angling. And man, really appreciate you guys checking today's video out. And I've got a really good video, guys, that I think is going to save you all a lot of money today and save you guys a lot of frustrations. I'm going to point out probably the biggest, most frustrating part that creates a red flag if you're wanting to buy a spinning reel that you really need to pay attention to, because if you pay attention to this one element on any spinning reel you purchase, it's going to make for a reel that provides a lot less headaches with you guys. So we're gonna go over this in detail and sort of show you what it is here. So real quick, guys, before we get started here, I just want to invite everybody out there to consider becoming a channel member here of Intuitive Angling, or my second channel, The Fishing Teacher with Randy Blockett. It's a good way to support the channel. You get stuff like extra videos every week that aren't seen by the public, and some access to my personal email address as memberships. And if you're interested, just go to my YouTube homepage, click the join button, gives you all the info there, and that's appreciated with that. Okay guys, spinning reels. Biggest thing you want to look for as far as a red flag that is going to create you problems in a spinning reel. And what that is, it's the gap, guys, that is right here on the spool. You can see right here, there's a little bit of a gap. Yeah, there it is right there. In this particular reel here, you've got like possibly an 1/8 of an inch gap between the spool and the inside interior part of the reel right there. And what happens here, guys, if you get a spinning reel where this gap is too big right here, what happens is you get a tremendous amount of line that gets caught underneath the spool here. It's one of the most frustrating things in fishing. And if you use straight fluorocarbon line like I do a lot, this is probably one of the biggest drawbacks. It's a major issue if you have too big of a gap there, because what happens is if you have any loose line at all in this particular situation, it doesn't have to be much at all. It can be just a tiny amount, and you happen to reel in a certain way, the line will loop around the back side of this spool here and get in the actual internal part of it. And then what you have to do is you have to take the spool off the reel, I'll show you here, and you've got to unwind it off the spindle because it'll wrap around that spindle there. Now, this is a major problem with a lot of reel manufacturers in the United States. In fact, I don't think that I have ever used a spinning reel in my life that this has not been an issue. If there's one out there that you haven't had this problem with using fluorocarbon line or monofilament line, I'd love to know from the manufacturer, because this is a major problem right here. It's sort of a major design defect in spinning reels in general. I'm not really pointing out any one particular company as far as they make them, but obviously I'm guessing either the specs prevent them to making it tighter, or they don't really consider this issue, or they haven't got enough feedback on it. But man, I can tell you right now that in the course of a day, a lot of time, depending upon the technique I'm fishing, because some spinning reel techniques, you have looser line than others. If you're working slow baits or something like that, or if you're casting, super far distances and then the wind's blowing and you get a loop, there's some techniques that are more conducive to getting behind that spool. But the main thing that I wanted to pass along with you guys in this video is try to find a spinning reel that has a really small gap between that the actual spool and the main part of the reel. The smaller that gap, the less problems that you're going to have. Now, I've noticed it gotten a little bit better over the past 5 or 6 years, but man, I can remember 3 or 4 years ago, there were some reels out there that the slightest little loop you get behind that reel, and you'd always have to be taking that the spinning reel spool off of the reel itself. So anyway, guys, pay attention when you're shopping for a spinning reel. Pay attention to that gap right there. Another couple things with a spinning reel, guys, I'll give you some advice. Make sure you have a big beefy handle on it. You don't want some little weeny handle on there. You need to have a handle that's got a really meaty grip on it, and you got to have a fairly large handle because that'll give you a lot more power. That's a big aspect of it. The other is go with the 3000 series. This is most spinning, a lot of guys I see, they go with the 2500 series spool, which is smaller. But guys, if you go to the 3000 series spool, which is a little bit larger like this, it will increase your casting distance probably 25%, and you can also run larger line on it. So that's a big deal there. So in my opinion, guys, the three main things on the spinning reel: spool size, get your 3000, get a big meaty handle, make sure that gap is really small on the spool there, and it'll definitely add up to a better spinning reel experience for you guys. So anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in, much appreciated. Also, if you guys are looking for some spinning reels, Baitworks in Springfield's got a huge selection of good spinning reels there. I'll put that link in the description, and I much appreciated. See you guys.